What is going on, guys? We are back with another episode of our trade breakdown series. In today's episode, I'm going to be walking you guys through exactly how I made over $1,400 today trading PLTR calls. I'm going to walk you through this trade step by step. Let's get into it right now. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. Per usual, if you enjoy these videos and you want to see more trade breakdowns, go ahead and leave us a like as it helps us out a ton. Now, as always, guys, this was recorded and traded live inside the Discord. If you'd like to take advantage of our biggest sale of the year, you can use the code STREAM40. The link is going to be in the replies, and you can take 40% off your first month if you'd like to come out and try out the chat where we trade live every single day. You'll also get access to my pre-market live stream and post-market live streams every single day of the week. As always, you can use that code STREAM40 and take advantage of our biggest sale of the year. That is tonight only. All right, guys, with that being said, let's get into the trade recap here on PLTR. Absolutely incredible trade today, guys. Now, before we get into this trade, we need to understand where the trade came from, right? If you guys have watched any of the prior trade breakdown videos, it is so critical, guys, to have an understanding and plan going into your day. Now, I had this trade mapped out last night. As I went over on the free live stream that we did last night, guys, I said PLTR was a top watch for me coming into today. This was a name that had a lot of relative strength on Friday and all of last week, and was actually a software provider to the US government that actually had some exposure to these geopolitical issues, guys. And so coming into the day, guys, PLTR was going to be at the absolute top of my radar, per the fact that we had a very active theme going within the defense industry. These geopolitical names were really strong in pre-market, and PLTR actually had a nice dip in pre-market, and was retesting our prior highs, right? We talk about this all the time, guys, but all of my trades come from the hourly and the 4-hour time frame, right? I scan these time frames religiously, guys, each and every night. And as you can see here on PLTR, you can see our last week's highs if we go back to the first week of October. And then into last week, guys, you can see we had a lot of resistance up here at this 1628 area, right? You can see these large wicks that we had up to 1628 at the beginning of October, guys, and all the way into last week. Now, our prior week's high was going to be a very key level for me coming into the day, guys. So like I said, I wanted to see a retest of 1620 on PLTR coming into this morning, guys. And that is exactly what we got here into the open, right? If we look at the hourly time frame as well, guys, you can see we got a perfect kind of retest setup, and we obviously printed an insane candle off of the open. Now, this trade was a little bit different, guys. We actually saw some extremely high volume on this name, which was really one of the biggest confirmation points for me going into this trade. And the two levels that I really want to draw your attention to, right, was that 1620 area, which we retested as our prior week's highs, and then that breakout zone, guys. So if you look at the hourly, right, and we go back to the highs from 10.6, and we look, right, we had clear resistance at that 1670 area. So for me, looking at Friday's highs, that 1670 zone, I really wanted to be focused on a break above that level would be an optimal entry point for me if we had the volume to support the move. Now, as you guys can see already on the hourly, we had a very strong volume stick on that first hour. And what was really evident to me, guys, off the open was the volume on those shorter time frames. So I'm going to take you guys right into the 3-minute time frame. If you're following along, we're on the PLTR 3-minute chart from today. And so looking at this, guys, we got that perfect retest opportunity at 1620. I actually ended up not getting an entry there. I usually like to wait at least the first 5 minutes after the open to enter a trade. And so I didn't exactly feel completely comfortable taking, what I consider to be a high confidence A+ setup entry at 1625. So simply, guys, I waited, I identified that relative strength, and I actually ended up entering this trade on the break above 1670, which was our Friday high. We broke through Friday's high. So that's confirmation point number one. We had a high volume break through that 1670 area, right? Now, how do we know something is high volume or not, right? Well, let's look at the 5-minute charts, guys. And I really want you to look at and pay attention to the volume here on the PLTR 5-minute, right? Look at the volume compared to, for example, Friday, right? We almost doubled our opening print volume on those first 5 minutes, right? So if you look here and see at my entry, guys, I actually waited for 2 5-minute candles. I entered into this trade at 9:39, so I entered in on the 5-minute close into 9:40. I bought the $18 calls. I took a half-size position here because I was actively buying a breakout above Friday's highs. This would have been a full position size for me on a retest of 1620, but because I was actually, entering into the trade a little bit late, quote unquote. Since I was buying a more active breakout sequence, I went with half size just because that's the type of market that we're in. So I took 100 contracts. I risked $1,900 in total on this position. And like I said, guys, I made almost 100% return total on the capital that I invested, making almost a little bit over $1,400 on this trade. So we had a break over that 1670 point, and we were almost doubling our volume from the open on Friday, right? And if we look at the 15-minute chart, right, you can actually see that we had our highest opening 15-minute volume, guys, in a very, very long time on PLTR. So what does that tell me, right? That tells me that there's unusually high volume on this stock. And therefore, if we're getting a strong directional move, there is a much higher likelihood that we are going to see that move continue because the volume is there to back it, right? So like I said, guys, continuing to look at this 3-minute, absolutely fantastic entry here on that break of 1670 into this 939 candle here, guys. We got a beautiful move up, guys, up to that 1754 area. I actually ended up trimming about half of my position, guys, on the break of the 17 level. So you can guys see here, I sold 35% of my position. Only 6 minutes later, up 44% on PLTR, guys. That was on that 17 break. If we look here, you guys can see that I actually sold half of my position, up 60%. This was at 949. So why was I trimming my position, aggressively? Well, we broke through 17, very, very strong, guys, and we actually had some continuation here. We started to print this top of your wick at 950, so I started to take off about a little bit over half my position there at 60+% on the trade. Now, really, guys, what gave me the conviction to hold for the full extent of this move, because we got an over 154% move on this trade. How was I able to actually stay in that trade and capture that true profit margin, right, on this trade? Really, guys, it all came back to that 15-minute volume, right? Once we got that first 15-minute candle close at 945, guys, I was able to examine the difference, right? Observing relative volume is really key, and we don't see it as much in this market because we're trading in a market that has very high yields. But understanding the power of volume on those shorter time frames, guys, I wish I could incorporate it more into my trading right now, but truly this is a lower volume market in general. But really, guys, we had some absolutely really highly unusual volume to the upside there on PLTR. That gave me the conviction to actually hold this trade. And the way that I actually treated the last half of my position, guys, is I went over this in the live chat with the entire Discord, and I said, okay, we now have 1720 support here, and we have resistance at that 1754 area, right? Now we got a break above that 1754 area, and this is where I sold 75 and 80% of my position, guys, capturing nearly all of my profit, up 123%. You guys can see right here, I trimmed 75% of my position on PLTR, up 123%, and I actually trimmed the rest of my position up over 152%, guys, on this 1783 test. As you guys can see here, my exit was timestamped 10:25 a.m., guys. Right here, you can see on this candle, this is the 1024 candle. I trimmed into that test of 18, and I trimmed 80% of my position there. I was able to hold a few runners, and this was an absolutely fantastic trade. Now, you may ask, why did I trim 85% of my position at that 1780 level, right? Well, if we come out and look at the daily on PLTR, guys, it's so important to have a plan, like I mentioned, going into your trades. And you can really see here on PLTR that really next major point of resistance, guys, and I'm going to clear all my levels for you and show you, was really that high that we printed, guys, back here on 719. So if you look on the 718 candle, before we saw a lot of selling pressure come in, that 1816 area was a really powerful point that PLTR had to get through. And therefore, on this trade, my target was really going to be a ramp into 18. We got very close to that psychological level of 18. I sold 80% of my position on that 1783 test and was able to hold the last 20% of my position as runners, which is honestly, guys, my preferred way of trading. You get exposure to that really high upside move while locking in a ton of profits. Now, this was a fantastic trade, guys. As you can see, in total, this trade took me about 30 minutes to make a little bit over $1,400. And that is the true power, guys, of being able to observe a high volume, really powerful trend like that and take advantage of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this trade breakdown video. Hope to see you in the chat sometime soon. If you're liking the free videos, make sure to leave a like, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.